Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of A Happy Moment. My name is Dan, and I'm glad to have all of you with me today. I've got a very special guest. He is the author of the sci fi quadrilogy Dissonance. Please welcome author Aaron Ryan. Hey, Aaron.
How are you, Dan? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. Thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I have one correction, actually. I think when I wrote you, it was very long ago because I was actually calling it a quadrilogy, aptly so, because it was only four books at the time.
Oh,
It's actually now become a hexalogy of six
okay.
books. So I keep trying to break away and write something else. I've got a great project I'm working on, but Dissonance just has sucked me right back in like a tether, tractor beam. And so I ended up writing six of them. So it's now a hexalogy.
Okay. How many were in that box set you showed me?
The box set is actually, so this was a stupid move on my part. This is the box set of the original four. So here's one, two,
Okay.
and three, and then the prequel. What I ended up doing was writing a second prequel. So there's this one, and then prequel number two, and then there's now a sequel that happens after this one. So I shouldn't have done this. I was really eager to get box sets made in time for the holidays. And I was like, dang it, why am I doing this? I've got a fifth one that I'm writing and a sixth one that's coming. So these are going to be obsolete. So they're kind of like the classic box set. Whatever. I'll keep them on the shelves for beauty, aesthetics.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you because, box sets are just cool to have, right?
Yeah, they're great. But now I have to sell two. Anyway.
Well, Aaron, would you like to tell us a little about yourself and how you got started in being in writing?
Yeah, I'd love to. So, yeah, I've been wearing many hats through my life. I am primarily I'm on two career tracks right now. One is an author, and one is a voiceover artist. So I've been an author my whole life. I was actually charged with writing a simple, I guess you'd call it a novella, in second grade back in 1981. So don't count, nobody count. Yes, I'm old. Um, that was a long time ago. And I wrote a little novella called The Electric Boy, complete with stick figure drawings and all of that. I was in second grade. Don't judge me. And that was kind of the beginning of my writing endeavors. I loved it though. I was just like, I created this. I wow, look at this. I created this story. For an 8-year old, you're just going like, that's right, yeah, author. You know, so it was a little bit of confidence infusing. But I've done a lot of different performing arts related careers in my lifetime, and the one that actually pays the bills right now is voiceovers. It is a steadily eroding career because of things like AI, the SAG after strike last year, the economy, underbidding colleagues, lowballing clients. A lot has chipped away at the feasibility and viability of becoming a voiceover artist as your career, your breadwinning career. But I'm still doing it. There's still plenty of jobs, and I am the voice of United Healthcare, for example. So any commercials that you see or hear, that's probably me. But I am the paths are diverging because voiceovers is going down. I am promoting the stink out of this, and this is a very powerful series called Dissonance that I'm so overjoyed to have written.
It's very cool. When did you first get the idea for it?
So this is where people stop and scratch their head and go, "Huh?" I actually pivoted last year in November of last year, November 21st, is when I started writing the very first paragraphs to Dissonance Volume 1 Reality. I am under enormous pressure to provide for the family, what with the erosion of the voiceover career. So this is the career path that I've chosen. If worked for Suzanne Collins, Isaac Asimov, J.R.R. Tolkien, all those people, why can't it work for me? James S.A. Corey. So I am writing at a fever pace, and the stories, as a pantser, there's a pantser and a planner. Those are the two writing personalities. A planner, plots everything out, bullet points, and proceeds along those, check, check, check all these boxes off. A pantser is a more of an organic writer, lets things happen. The characters lead them. That's the way I like to write. So the stories have really organically burst out of me, much like an alien queen. There's another reference to aliens, and I couldn't stop writing. I'm working on a fantastic story that is not related to dissonance in any way. But every time I try to return to that story, Dissonance sucks me in for another installment. So now there's six. But yeah, it's a very powerful story, loaded with thematic depth and heart.
Okay, would you like to tell us a little bit about the story?
I'd love to. Yeah, so basically, we have a few years, so we're all good. So nobody panic. But in 2026, we are living our lives, going about our business, and out of the sky on June 6th, 2026, these things drift down, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them all over the planet. We don't know what they are. They're not, ships, crafts, drones, probes, none of that. They're beings, alien beings that float down out of the sky, and they hover there, much like this image right here in the sky. And we are kind of going, friend or foe. What is this? They wait there for 90 days, and we're going, okay, well, maybe they're angelic messengers. They haven't attacked or killed us off or anything. 90 days goes by. They all wake up. They start jetting out this bluish green mist around themselves. It's a vapor. They look down. They hiss. Everything goes south from there. They're horrifyingly fast apex predators. Within 3 months, 85% of all mankind and organic life is either killed off or living underground in these bunkers called blockades. So the long story short is, at the end of the trilogy, we've found technology that we've weaponized that can kick them off the planet. We win, humans win, but not before a great tragic toll is exacted upon humanity. We call the aliens Gorgons because, much like Medusa the Gorgon, you cannot under any circumstances look them in the eye. If you do, it's all over. They have a telepathic paralytic. I'm going to get this for you and show it to you. And that telepathic paralytic will freeze you where you stand. They'll eat you at their leisure, and you will feel every agonizing bite. So I don't know why we take pictures of aliens. Run, people. It's really simple. Just run. But they are very fierce and very. I mean, how can you fight an enemy that you can't even look at? What are you supposed to? How are you supposed to shoot? So it's a very fierce adversary that we're fighting. But as with any good story, there's another enemy, and the enemy always, the chief enemy of mankind is always mankind. So our protagonists end up fighting battles on multiple fronts, unfortunately.
Well, that sounds like quite a vicious alien species there, and such a bad antagonist must have a even more badass protagonist to counteract them. Can you tell us a little about your protagonists?
Yeah, the protagonist is named Cameron Jet Shipley. His nickname is Jet, and he is a 23-year-old U.S. Army sergeant in 2042. But he was 6 years old when the Gorgons went live and activated on September 3rd, 2026. He was 6 years old. He saw the whole thing. He was the first prequel is written from his father's perspective, Andrew, a firefighter and EMT in Blue Spring, Kentucky, and Andrew's just trying to keep his family safe. But Jet grows up in a blockade underground with his little brother Ruddy, who is 19, and those two are the only survivors of their family. So you read the prequels, spoiler I know, but you'll read the prequels in the books, and you'll understand that from volume 1 anyway. That those two are the last that have survived. He's battle hardened. He's war weary. He is cynical of pretty much everything. He's not a man of faith. His brother is, and so there's a clash there. Ruddy keeps him grounded. His little brother keeps him grounded and keeps him lighthearted and jovial, but he's very committed to the mission. There are two newcomers that arrive at the blockade. He's instantly suspect, or suspicious of them. They are instantly suspect. But he falls head over heels for the woman, the younger woman, who just coincidentally happens to be around his age. That worked out quite nicely. But they find that there's something very big going on, which only contributes to his cynicism because he wasn't told anything about this. He doesn't know why these things are happening behind the scenes, that his captain of his blockade, who he calls Dad, and is supposed to be kind of a surrogate father since his own was killed, never briefed him on any of this. So he finds something very big is going on in the background. It ends up costing him and others. And so that contributes to a sense of vengeance, anger, frustration, trauma. And so he's got to navigate that. And there are several people in the books that keep him on the straight and narrow. Otherwise, he'd probably be a loose cannon and fly off and snap and start shooting people. Never a good look.
Are you allowed to say what the motivation is for the aliens to invade us, or would that be
Yeah,
giving away
sure.
spoilers?
Well, they're hungry. I mean, number one, hunger is a powerful motivator. Um, and so they have so I actually, you don't really understand or know much about the Gorgons until you get to volume 6. Ha ha ha, I wanted it to be that way. Which is actually volume 4. Sorry, I've got a really weird numbering convention. um, but they are from the Trappist 1 system, which is about 43, if I remember right, 43 light years away. They are uh, they come here. Well, I don't want to do a spoiler there. At the end of volume 3, we kick them off the planet. We win. Well, that's volume 3. Volume 4 is where they return, and you find a lot more about their origin story there and why they came in the first place and why they're now coming again. But they are just, again, they're apex predators. They're hungry. There is a nefarious motive, though. They are here to take our water, and you'll find out why at the end of volume 3, really, and volume 4. So, without giving away the whole premise, though, it's basically, it is a very barbaric species that does have a level of intelligence that we don't comprehend. Their drones, though, are the ones that ensure that the higher ups, shall we say, of Gorgon society, no spoilers, get to do what they need to do. So the drones are the ones killing off the humans, and you cannot look at them. One look and it's all over.
Now, is it you can't look at them or you can't make eye contact with them?
You cannot make eye contact with it. You can look at them, but you'd
Okay.
want to look to the side. If I know a Gorgon's right there, I'm going to look this way. But if they lock eyes with you, that telepathic paralytic is going to go right to work, and you will not be able to release yourself from their stare. You just can't. Even if a Gorgon has you in their sights, they've got you. They start doing what they do. You're locked. It's a lock. And so even if they are shot down and killed, that telepathy has already done its deadly work, and it's kind of like the drug trank. I don't have any experience with it. I just did some research on it, and it's a paralysis of the muscles, in many cases, in almost all of the cases, unrecoverable. And the heart will shut down and everything else will shut down, but you're still going to feel this vicious barbaric assault on your flesh, and you can't do anything about it. It's awful.
What can readers expect from the books? Like, are they action packed or like full of political intrigue?
So they're definitely, the title is called Dissonance, and I chose that for a very specific reason, because you start learning it from Jet's perspective in 2042, 16 years after the alien invasion, 16 years after alien occupation of our planet, and 85% of humanity has been killed off. You would think that we would be working closely together. You would think that there would be harmony and there would be a joint attempt by all of us to rid ourselves of these aliens. But again, we just keep getting in each other's way. We throw each other under the bus. We we put ourselves forward at all costs, and it ends up costing our fellow man. So it's not a referendum on the current day and age by any means, although it's going to hit on that for sure, especially in a political year. These being released this year, but ultimately, it's just the savagery that they operate with is something that you have to contend with and run from. The savagery of man, however, that's a different issue entirely, and you come to find out who the real baddies are in the series. And at that point, the Gorgons are rendered as not much more than kind of a nuisance. At that point, they're still fierce, they're still horrible. You still need to get rid of them, but you're going to find quickly that your fellow man is the one that you have to be more worried about, unfortunately.
Now, you mentioned that you just started writing these in November of last year. So you've really been cranking these books out. Um, other than the time crunch, what would you say has been the most challenging aspect of writing these books?
Well, the challenging aspect comes, people have asked me about the prequels, and the prequel, those must have been harder, because you don't want to break any storylines. You want to, you don't want to miss anything and leave a big gaping plot hole. No, the prequels were actually the easiest ones to write, because the reflecting that's done on the part of Cameron Jet Shipley, and Wyatt, his brother, and Bassett and Trudy in volume 1, and the others in the subsequent volumes, I had so much meat to work with when I went back and wrote the prequels, because they're reflecting on things that happen. All I needed to do then was take that little sentence, just a single sentence, line them up as a bullet point, give them some chronology, put them in a correct sequence that would not break the storyline, and then flesh out narratives all around those bullet points. The prequels were actually some of the easiest ones to write. And prequel number one, it has a tremendous amount of heart to it as you're going through these days before the invasion, during the invasion, and after, where it's simply life and dad jokes and bath time and church on Sunday and work days and family life before everything goes horribly wrong. Writing the rest of them, though, where it's just fresh ground to till, and you're that's where the organic storyline and writing takes over, and you let the characters lead you. That's harder because you have to think of some new twists and turns that weren't referenced as historical points in the volumes. When you go back and write the prequels, you got the historical points you got to cover. When you're writing new ground, you have nothing. It's basically uncharted territory, and second star to the right and straight on till morning. It was so cool, but much more difficult writing those stories. My compulsion, though, with these has just been, yes, there's a drive because of voiceovers, the career being eroding, and I really mean that. This is I'm the kind of guy where when I find a passion, and I've written books before. This isn't my first foray into writing books. I wrote 6 and published 6 as a voiceover artist, and a few before. This is a return to writing, but I just have rediscovered this is what I want to do. This is my calling. I've been a storyteller in every single career I've had. I'm a storyteller in voiceovers. I'm just telling their story. But as an author, I get to tell my own, and it just doesn't, everything pales by comparison.
Now, do you have an end in sight, or do you still plan and keep writing more books and adding to the series?
Not to this series, no. In fact, I'm being pushed by a friend of mine who continues to insist that there are more volumes. It's like, buddy, he loves the series. I do too. I don't want it to end. It was very melancholy finishing it up on Saturday the 12th. I didn't want it to end. I absolutely love this series. I know these characters. I know this storyline. I know the world that they live in. And even the nefarious antagonists of this series, I love them, and I created them. It's amazing to live and breathe that. In fact, I took a trip to Nashville and then Clarksville, Tennessee, and then all the way up to Blue Spring, Kentucky. I drove around and I checked out all the locations that I had used in my books, plural. That was such a pilgrimage because I threaded their way through Google Maps and Street View as I had them go through Nashville and Clarksville. So to be in those exact locations, super surreal to be there. But this is the end. I've reached the end, which is volume 4. There's Dissonance volume 0, volume up, volume 1, 2, 3, and then volume 4 is the sequel. And I'm done. I've got other projects that I can write.
Would you like to talk about what other projects you have in the works?
Yeah, sure. Well, the one that I actually have, and it is a registered copyright, so don't even try it, is called Forecast. Not you, by the way. Those are for your listeners. Forecast is a revisionist version of 9/11, so it'll be historical fiction. A man is essentially he's a weatherman, so of course he gets struck by lightning, right? And he is able to then receive video signals slingshot around the sun from people who he is in close proximity to who are about to commit an atrocity. So he's able to see these images slingshot around the sun. So it's a fast forward through time to see what's going to happen, what these people are going to do, but only if he's in close proximity to them. So he's in Manhattan, he's in New York, he's in New Jersey, and he is going to end up tailing Muhammad Atta, who is the lead hijacker of 9/11. And so he will end up through a course of events undoing 9/11. And that's something that I personally feel very close to, very attached to. It's a powerful storyline that resonates with so many people. And I've just created a panacea for it through this one man who's able to, shift gears on the whole narrative. I can't wait. I mean, this is again, it's a powerful story, but every time I've tried to return to it, right back to Dissonance. So now that I'm done, full steam ahead on Forecast.
Okay, cool. Oh, the last Dissonance book that's not out yet, correct?
The last Dissonance book is going to be published, and all these are chosen on very specific dates for a reason. The last Dissonance book, which is volume 4, I know it's the 6th installment, but it's volume 4. I know it's crazy. Sorry. That one is going to publish on November 20th for a very specific reason, because I started writing the first sentences of volume 1 last year on November 21st. So I want this to publish, a day before a year, and say, I wrote and published 6 books in one whole year. I mean, who does that? This was
It's
my story to
impressive.
tell. Yeah, this was my story to tell. I'm so grateful that I was given it.
What have been some of your influences?
Oh my. So writing influences?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely J.R.R. Tolkien. Does it show? I mean, this is not the One Ring, I should clarify. See, I'm still here. Still here. Still here. This has my family's names on the inside of the ring. They're inscribed there, but I love this ring. So J.R.R. Tolkien, of course, Marie Lu in the Legend series, Suzanne Collins, Hunger Games, Michael Crichton, John Grisham, Tom Clancy. I said Suzanne Collins already. James S.A. Corey, Dave Barry, Stephen King. Dave Barry is a satirical writer at the Miami Herald in Florida. And just guy, he's hilarious. I read right now. I'm reading things that are related to aliens and sci-fi because that's just that's my bent. I love that. But I actually, as soon as I'm done with the one that I'm reading, I need to go back and reread through all of them, because Dissonance Volume 1 Reality, the first one I wrote, has been adapted for the screen and is right now being pitched to major streaming networks. So HBO Max, Netflix, Paramount Plus, Imagine Entertainment. Gosh, there's other ones, I can't remember their names, but Playtone Entertainment. And it's so exciting. I mean, that's an author's dream come true, to see their book visualized into a screenplay and then on screen. So I'm super excited about that whole process and can't wait to see that happen.
That that's awesome. How does that even happen? Do you just like start pitching it to various people, or did someone approach you about it?
Yes, a screenwriter approached me about writing it, and so he is a very well-known screenwriter. He won an award for his screenplay of Jersey City Story. He is a Hollywood fellow. He's one of 5 to win a contest put on by Gail Ann Hurd, who is a pretty well-known producer in Hollywood. She was married to James Cameron. I know who's that. Um, she produced Titanic, Avatar, Terminator 2, Aliens. She's amazing. She put on this contest, and he was one of those winners. So he approached me after seeing, I think, some of the things I had posted online about Dissonance. And I was a cynic. I'm very much like Cameron Jet Shipley in that regard. There's a lot of scammers. Our industry is rife with them, by the way. So, sure, yeah, you're a screenwriter. But I did my due diligence. I looked him up. Everything checks out. I paid him the fee, which was right in the middle of the how much does it cost to have a screenplay done Google search. He's right in the middle. So, and it was one of those things where I said, if I don't do this, I will regret it for the rest of my life. I have to do this screenplay. I have to, because this is what I want to do. And if the books go viral, awesome. But if the screenplay gets picked up and there's community built around that, and there's buzz, and there's people are watching this and liking it, then that goes viral and the books go viral. So I'm just, we're in the most exciting phase right now of pitching to producers and actors agents, and just waiting to see who bites down when. Someone
Okay,
will.
yeah, that's very exciting. Um, do you have plans for anything else related to dissonance, such as like I don't know, graphic novels or anything like that?
Yeah, toys and merchandise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, floating Gorgon balloons. Um, no, I guess that would be helium balloons. No, I if there was merchandise associated with a production, I wouldn't be opposed to it, because those are my creations. That would be cool. Ultimately, what I would pursue would be another novel. I'm a novelist. I don't know about novellas or graphic novels or manga or any of that stuff. I would write another full fledged novel. And there are characters in this series that totally justify writing an entire novel dedicated to them and their backstory, because they're just such beloved characters. It would be really cool to see. However, there's only so much you can mine before it starts to look like desperation. And I really feel when I finished the trilogy, I thought I was done, but then it was like, no, there's 16 years of backstory here. So I wrote the prequel, the first prequel. It ended 5 years prior to the beginning of volume one. So there's 5 years I can write another prequel and fill that gap. And then the sequel, I just don't think there would be another sequel because it would be a retread of the first. What are they just going to keep coming back? I mean, uh, eventually it just looks like bad planetary defenses on our part. Um, so I think we're ultimately done with Dissonance.
Okay. Um, so speaking of sequels, you talked a little bit about your author influences. How about other influences not related to writing? Like I understand that you're a big fan of Aliens.
Yeah. So I'm much more visually inspired than I am literarily inspired. So we watched I Am Legend the night before I put pen to paper for Volume One Reality, and what I loved about I Am Legend, in case you don't, for those of you who aren't familiar, it's the Will Smith movie. I don't remember what year it came out, but there's a virus, there's a vaccine for cancer that ends up disseminating the rabies virus and ends up killing off virtually all of mankind. Will Smith and his dog are one of very few survivors who are still living, foraging for food, have gotten used to survival. But the Earth is overrun. It's unmaintenanced. It's overgrown. Weeds have grown up through the cracks, choked out the big cities. Lions are roaming the streets. Dogs, wild dogs, deer, moose, elk. They're running freely. And buildings are in disrepair, and there's been collapses and breakdowns because the human custodians have been taken out of the picture. I thought, well, I love that post-apocalyptic scenario. I'm not fond of zombie flicks or zombie the zombie phenomenon. I just love the story of the singular survivor of I Am Legend, and the zombies were terrifying in that movie. I'll give them that. But I thought, what if you married post-apocalyptic human cataclysm to and stripped it down to only a handful of survivors and married it to an alien invasion instead. And that's where I was inspired by that. So yeah, really inspired by I Am Legend, really inspired by Aliens, James Cameron. The tone of the books are very military, not so much Vietnam like Aliens was by James Cameron, but yeah, inspired by that, inspired by Lord of the Rings. And then I have, several friends. We live close to a military base, so I got lots of input from people who say it should be worded this way or said that way or whatever. I mean, everything is an influence. Something you read can go, ooh, that could be really good. Plug that in at the appropriate place.
Now, given that you're a big fan of Aliens, I have to ask, what are your thoughts on Alien 3?
Alien 3, you mean where she goes to the prison planet, Fiorina 161?
Yep.
So I actually just recently got a hold of a fan edit of Alien 3 that is that fixes the crappy CGI in the original version. It was just really, the rotoscoping wasn't done properly on that. It looked really tacky. The lighting on it was awful. Anytime there's a human puppet or human, in an outfit, or they're doing a puppet against a green screen, and it's a tangible, practical effect, those look fine. I think, but when they are life size, but when they are tiny and they're shot and they're just, like the alien running down the corridor, I hated that. So I like the fan edit of it. However, I'm not a fan of the overall tone or the story arc of that film. I absolutely love Aliens. I love the triumphant end of leaving Acheron and being able to escape with Ripley and Bishop and Hicks and Newt. They get away. They live. Yay! The aliens are destroyed. To then completely rob Ripley of companionship with Hicks. To then to savagely kill off Newt by drowning her in her cryotube. To have Hicks impaled in the crash. To have Bishop become a mangled android. And then to add insult to injury, to have Ripley be impregnated by a queen. Um, eh, it makes sense because there is no victory ultimately against this superior species in the end. If you're looking at it through that lens, but it's just not a feel good movie. And besides, the protagonists on that planet are all prisoners, and they say what they're in for. So there's nobody to root for. You don't really root for any of these prisoners to survive. Uh, it's something that I watch begrudgingly, and I stop there because I certainly won't watch Alien 4. Ugh.
Have you ever considered submitting any novels for the Alien universe to like try and get those published?
No, I haven't. I only recently became aware of them. Tim Lebbon's Alien Out of the Shadows is fantastic. I love that novel. I was very, very intrigued at how he did that. I'm actually reading right now the Alan Dean Foster novelization of Aliens. Big surprise, I know. What? I'm reading that one, and I have a stack of Alien canon books to read. Sitting on top of James S.A. Corey, but no, that's just a different genre. I'm intrigued by it, but I'd much rather watch it than write it.
Okay, I, that makes sense. Earlier this year I did read a good one. It was Vasquez by V. Castro.
Oh, I did
That
not
was
like
pretty good.
that.
No,
Yeah, I did not like it. Vasquez is my favorite character in Aliens, and so little of that book was dedicated to Vasquez. Her death is mentioned as an afterthought, and no offense, but I don't care about her kids. I didn't complete it. I didn't complete it. I wanted to hear more backstory of what made her who she was, see more of her interaction with Drake, see more other adventures, other colonial Marines missions that she could have been on with Drake, and perhaps meeting Hudson, meeting Hicks, meeting Apone, meeting Spunkmeyer, Dietrich, Farrow, any of them, the creation of their unit before Gorman, and then, but it's like, oh, by the way, she died. Now we're going to talk about the kids, and here's the rest of the book. I was like, oh, not what I signed up for.
okay, yeah, I will admit I was a little bummed out by that because like just as soon as you're getting into like the story of Vasquez, like here's her death scene, she's gone, then on to her kids. But overall, I did enjoy it, but I can
Okay.
understand why you wouldn't.
Yeah. No, if she's your favorite character, I bought the book because it is presumably, she looks different in the artwork, but presumably that's Vasquez on the cover, and it's
Mhm.
called Vasquez, and so you assume it's about Vasquez. So it was just like, ah, man, frustrating.
Do you in your dissonance books? Do you have any characters similar to Hudson, like the Debbie Downer, like "Game over, man, game over"?
Yeah, well, it's not a team in that regard. For what I think I've followed more closely was the typical the tried and true measure of, there's the damsel in distress, there's the rogue hero, the unintentional hero, his sidekick, and then the wise sage, who is, and that it does follow that formula. It's a little formulaic, but cookie cutter, but it does work. So I think I have a little bit more of that. It's not an entourage as Aliens gave us, with all of these different colorful characters. So, there are characters like that are not part of the main running narrative. Perhaps in Dissonance Volume Up Rising has Colonel Cartwright, who might be similar to Hudson, but no, it's not overtly paralleling him.
Okay. Uh, Aaron, you have a website, authoraaronryan.com, and
Yep.
people can go there and learn about dissonance and your other work as well.
Yeah, they can go to authoraaronryan.com. And just to be clear, it's author, not awful, Aaron Ryan, author AaronRyan.com. I always have to clarify. And then I do have dissonanctheseries.com, but people often mistake that with dissidents. It's nothing about infidels or people, it's nothing like that. Dissonancetheseries.com, but that's still hard to spell. So just go to getthesebooks.com and that will forward to dissonancetheseries.com. So I have my author website at authoraaronryan.com. And then I have the dissonancetheseries.com or getthesebooks.com, which is specifically about the Dissonance series.
Okay. And do you have any social media handles you want to throw out there?
Yeah, they're all author Aaron Ryan at virtually all of
Oh,
them. You can go
keep it
to
simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's consistency. It's the same picture usually and everywhere too. It's this one, but with shades. It is, if you go to cards, so cards / author Aaron Ryan, you'll see all of the links for the blog. There's a Facebook group, the author Aaron Ryan exclusive Facebook group, where you can win free books, enter drawings, hear about new releases. You can, subscribe to the blog for the same effect, same, results. But the group gets a little bit more of the firsthand look at stuff that's coming out.
Okay. Would you like to give us any closing thoughts for Dissonance?
Yeah, it's something that I've said it before, but I'm so proud to have written it. It is not perfect by any stretch. I'm not perfect by any stretch, but in particular, where it relates to or where it pertains to Dissonance Volume 0 Revelation, the first prequel, it has such heart to it. It's parenting through trauma, and I don't know if you can see them, but I've got an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old boy, and they are my world. It is that prequel is parenting through trauma, trying to keep your kids safe, and then bring them up in a very hostile environment, underground, away from the sun. It can be depressing, but you learn and grow with them as you follow them through the years. The rest of the novels are all about, military tactics and strategy, chess pieces, moving around so that we can finally kick these things off the planet and try to figure out how we can all work better in the process, because we just get in our own way over and over again. So you'll find, who the baddies are, by the second volume in. I think that it's a real, you asked earlier if it's action packed. I wouldn't say that, but there are some definite periods of action for sure. This one, I'm going to drop all these books and make a big collision. This is the end of the trilogy. This is Dissonance Volume 3 Renegade. And she is not a Gorgon. I just clarify there. You're fighting two enemies, but you can see the military overtones on this book, on the cover there. There's like 8 battles in this book. So, and it's a thick mother too. It's a really big, thick book. They're all great stories. They're all self-contained, but they're all part of this learning journey that Jet goes on, that ultimately leads to an awesome victory. And I'm really proud to have written all of these. They're all great.
That's awesome. Well, Aaron, congrats on writing all those books, and we look forward to the final one being released on November 20th. And also want to say good luck in getting a movie deal for this. That would be super exciting, and I hope that comes your way. And also, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And about the movie deal, I'm just looking for some wood to knock on. Here's some. There we go. Fingers crossed, because I've got a lot of hopes pinned to that. Pretty much all of them are pinned to that. So there you go.
All right, I'll definitely be keeping track of that, and I'll update my followers as I find out what goes on. And best of luck to you, and thanks again. Also, thanks everyone for joining us. If you'd like to learn more about my podcast, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Just search for A Happy Moment, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.